There's just something so special about Brooklyn. There's honestly no place in New York City like it. I do have to say, the other boroughs are incredible and they all are amazing in their own way, but there's just something about Brooklyn. There's just so much that is offered in Brooklyn, and honestly, it's one of those boroughs where you never have to leave because everything is here. How do you really experience Brooklyn like someone who has lived there for many, many years? I'm gonna share that with you in this video. So the first thing I want you to do in Brooklyn is take advantage of all the amazing food that Brooklyn has to offer. Now, I'm a real estate agent that does work in Brooklyn. I do live in Manhattan at the time of this video, but I go out of my way all the time to dine in Brooklyn because the food there is absolutely incredible, absolutely incredible. There's just so much, all different types of cuisine. You definitely need to take advantage of the best pizza there because there's just no comparison. Something that I also want you to watch out for in Brooklyn is there are a ton of rats and roaches there. As with all of New York City, there are a ton of rats and roaches. Now, I do have to say, sometimes it feels like rats are a little better at hiding in Manhattan than they are in Brooklyn because you will see them out and about all the time. They are very, very comfortable there. Let's just say that. So it's something that you're going to get very, very used to seeing when you live there. So something that I also want you to do right away when you start living in Brooklyn is get to know the public transportation instantly. You're going to have such a better experience living in Brooklyn if you know the subways and buses right away. And I say subways and buses because a lot of people, when they first come to New York City, they default automatically to just learning the subways and they kind of ignore the bus system. But I almost think that the bus system sometimes can be even more valuable than the subways because you can get pretty much anywhere you need to go on the bus lines, and on the subways you can also do that, but depending on where you are, you might have to do some transferring, and the buses you might not have to do that. So that's something to keep in mind. Really take some time to learn both the subways and both the buses. When people refer to the city in Brooklyn, they are 100% referring to Manhattan. For some reason, people in Brooklyn refer to Manhattan as the city, and Brooklyn is just Brooklyn. And this is really common for other areas in New York City and outside New York City as well. People just refer to Manhattan as the city and then call like the Bronx, or Staten Island, and Brooklyn. So you might be thinking, wait, aren't I in the city? Yes, you are in New York City, but you're not in the city, which is Manhattan. So something that you will see in the warmer months, which might surprise you at first, is you will actually see people in the streets kind of just like hanging out and opening a fire hydrant and like almost like using it as like a sprinkler for like a little party. I remember the first time I started seeing this and I was like, wow, that's so interesting, strange, yet so creative at the same time. But it's really not creative in Brooklyn because people have been doing this for years and years and years. You will see this all the time and people will just be like hanging out, having a party in the street. And it makes sense. People have small homes. There's not that many places to party. So why not just do it in the streets? I definitely advise you to support local here as much as you can. There are so many amazing small businesses in Brooklyn in every different neighborhood. I'm a big believer in supporting local as much as you can because one, they have so much to offer, and two, you want to support the community and give back so these businesses can thrive and stay in Brooklyn for many and many years. The coffee scene here is top notch. I call Brooklyn the coffee capital of the world because I think that you cannot compete with these Brooklyn roasters. I love going to Brooklyn coffee shops. I think that they have literally some of the best, and honestly, I think they have better coffee options than Manhattan does. A lot of the Manhattan coffee shops use Brooklyn roasters that they serve in their Manhattan shops. So if you are a coffee fan, take advantage of it by all means. And if you're not a coffee fan, some of these coffee shops do have other things that they offer, tea, other type of beverages you can also take advantage of because these coffee shops are super cool and they're some of my favorite to go to. In Brooklyn, you'll see people hanging out on the stoops, just like you do in movies and TV shows. People do that all the time here in different neighborhoods. So it's definitely not weird. Don't give people weird looks for doing it because it's very, very normal here. And it's kind of a way for people to get outside or socialize. Sometimes people don't have a lot of outdoor space, so they're just hanging out on the steps. And that's so common here. And you're gonna get very, very used to it. Take advantage of some of the best views in Manhattan. One thing that I love about Brooklyn is really gigantic. So depending on where you are in Brooklyn, you're gonna see all different angles of the Manhattan skyline. And they're just so incredible. So if you're lucky enough to have some type of outdoor space or a view from your apartment, even better because the views are just so breathtaking. I love being in Brooklyn, just looking out at the Manhattan skyline. There's just nothing like it. So these are just some of the ways that you can start to live like a local in Brooklyn. And I would love to know, are you in the process of moving to Brooklyn right now? Or do you already live in Brooklyn? And if so, do you have any tips for living like a local? As always, I just love hearing from you guys.